want to keep you in the app. They want to increase engagement, increase views, increase comments, keep you looking down in that app.
And made to feel horrible and shamed, this little girl who's 13 years old, because of an algorithm.
And they have their own studies that this is bad stuff.
As a young girl, to have that fed to you all the time against your will.
So that's telling you that there is an algorithm, it's listening, and it's targeting us, right?
And they knew, or should have known, that serving stress-inducing, anxiety-inducing content to little developing kids could lead to suicidal thoughts.
And I think that's the really hard part for all of us to swallow, is they knew it was harmful, they knew it was harmful to children, and they still continue to do it.
Thanks for watching the Carolina Justice Report. I'm Rainey Romero with the Lovely Law Firm. Today we're talking about the emerging litigation with social media addiction that involves children and adolescents. Welcome back, and thanks for watching this one. I'm here with attorneys Amy Lawrence, Sarah Ossett, and Justin Lovely. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
I feel like this is... Hey.
How you doing?
Yo.
So I feel like this has been a subject between parents and leaders and teachers for a long time, but now there's actual kind of litigation with social media addiction, and especially affecting the younger generation. So I guess first let's dive into what exactly is being alleged here.
Yeah, so there was a whistleblower that came out a few years ago against Facebook, now called Meta, right, as everybody knows, because they had to rebrand because the stock price took a dive. That basically says, hey, these are the algorithms that is pushing all the negative content to not just kids, everybody, right? Because what they want to do, they want to keep you in the app, they want to increase engagement, increase views, increase comments, keep you looking down in that app so they can sell advertising to you, right? And so one of the ways that they do this to you is if you start going down a negative path, they keep giving you more negative, controversial content, right? So for the average person, for like an adult who has a fully developed brain, no problem. It's still not good for you, right? And everybody knows if you spend any time in any of these apps, it's not just Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, all of them. You can go down some rabbit holes and you can get depressed, or you start feeling bad, or you can start feeling good, depending on what kind of content. If you're doing motivational content.
Sure.
But as this comes out through this whistleblower, right? We learned that they had studies that adolescents who are maybe looking up something bad or get served some negative content that they comment on or they click on it, they start getting served up more and more and more. And when adolescents, kids, teens, their brain's still developing, right? They're subjected to this, and they're staying on this app 4 or 5 hours a day. That's a problem, right? And so it can lead to depression, can lead to anxiety, can lead to increased stress,
Suicide.
In the worst case, suicide thoughts.
Eating disorders,
bulimia, anorexia. And then in the worst cases, suicide itself. And so, of course, now the litigation has been commenced to try to put a stop to this, okay? Try to hold these companies, these social media companies accountable. And that's where we're at. That's what we're going to talk about today.
So are we talking about just the ads that are being fed, or are we talking about everything about it?
I think what we learned from that whistleblower, it was a woman, and she talked about, so here's a great example of what was going on. So a 13-year-old girl, she is scrolling through Instagram, and Instagram and Facebook are all owned by Meta, Zuckerberg, whatever. And what we learned is let's say she sees an influencer and they're talking about eating disorders. And what we learned is that she watched it twice, right? So then all of a sudden we had this algorithm inundated this 13-year-old girl with, anorexia tips. Girls giving these, right?
Right.
Or
Diet
telling you
pills or
diet
flat tummy
pills
teas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The ads start popping up when you watch those videos.
So you've got the ads, but you also have all these other that run in that have those same words, keywords and things like that. And so then you've got a kid who's, anorexic and bulimic, and they learn how to do it and made to feel horrible and shamed, this little girl who's 13 years old, because of an algorithm. And the thing is like, we can understand that if we go and seek out these things, that we have to take personal responsibility for it. But that's not what happened here, right? So what happened is the company recognized this thing and then directly marketed to this 13, 14-year-old little girl, and the ramifications for her health and safety. And that you can't do.
Yeah.
The algorithm specifically dialed in to serve that content, and then to chase you and follow up with you. So even if you start looking at something else, they've tracked everything, and they know, hey, you stayed on the app for 3 hours when we showed you stress and anxiety and diet pill content, right?
Yeah.
So you might be looking up sports and checking a football game score, right? Not even doing that. And then they start luring you back in.
And because you've got multiple platforms owned by the same company, it's tracking you on multiple platforms.
Yeah, cross-track.
So I'm on Instagram and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go look at Facebook. It's doing the same thing. It's tracking you to that other app, and it's throwing those cookies and following you with all that the same shit, because that's what it is. That's harmful. Onto the other thing.
Was this litigation towards one social media site, or is it kind of like all social media?
Yeah, it's going to pop up against every single one.
Everywhere.
So Facebook and Meta have already agreed to start litigating it, and they haven't taken responsibility, but they're not fighting it as hard as like TikTok and Snapchat. Those companies, it's still early, and they're trying to fight different jurisdictional tactics that are going on right now. But I feel it's going to be all of them eventually, with Meta being the number one culprit.
Right. Well, what does this fight look like? I mean, what are attorneys trying to prove, and then what is going to be kind of the defense of the social media?
Well, it's just like that the algorithm was made and tailored to do just what Amy just said, just what I just said. Keep you on there so we can serve you ads, and we want time. We want you spending your time online just stuck chasing content, so we can serve you more and more and more ads, and I can sell advertising and make money off of you.
Right.
That's what the problem is. But then the problem comes, kids and adolescents, they need to be segmented out of that, because their brains are still developing, and they knew, or should have known, that serving stress-inducing, anxiety-inducing content to little developing kids could lead to suicidal thoughts, suicide.
Well, we know
eating
from
disorders.
the whistleblower and their own internal studies, they did know.
Yeah.
Right? They did know.
And so to prove it, I think would be they've got to turn over all their algorithm information, and they've also got to turn over, whoever the plaintiff is, the algorithm's target. They could pull all that information. They've got that data stored on all of us. So they'll just take 13-year-old girl's phone and pull everything they ever targeted at her.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely. The lovely